So, to my understanding, you've already had your first VC for Module 7, correct?
Yes, yes, just on Thursday. So this is
Okay.
good timing for us to meet just now because we had our kind of like our preview to how everything works in Module 8
Okay.
and, you know, like a good overview of it. So, and then I have to submit this week now, this next following lesson, I'll have to submit this meeting. So works out well.
All right. So, generally, what I like to do in our first introductory session is to just share a little bit about ourselves and then talk through any questions or concerns you might have. And I can give you some, based on what you say, I can give you some tips and tricks that I have witnessed as being a mentor and an instructor for teaching now over the last 2 and some change years.
None of these students are absolute beginners. They're all, and they all need, well, they all need to read for comprehension things. But what the teachers do try to do is have me come in during their literacy blocks.
Okay.
That usually happens, but I still find that for the most part, I need to pull these students aside and do something more focused on just them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I thought it would be best to focus on, if I can just focus on vocabulary, like a little bit of vocabulary related to their reading and some sort of a grammar component that I can build on previous or what knowledge they do have to help them with their writing skills, and have them reading and doing some sort of a writing in response to whatever they've read. So that might, it might be, it depends on what's happening maybe at the time in the class, you know, if they're doing cause and effect or if they're just doing, you know, retelling or that kind of a thing.
What can be a balance? Like if you're going to do strict pullout, I mean, I've worked in schools that have had a lot of different models of how they do collaboration and how they work with ESL students and special education students. So some schools do pull out, some schools do push in. Yes. I know schools where the ELL teacher will still push in and support within the class and provide scaffolds, but then they might still pull, those students might still get pulled to get some additional work, kind of what you're talking about, that might not be directly aligned to what they're doing content-wise, but still aligned standards-wise. So what's, are you using IB, Common Core? What standards do you focus on?
Okay, so we're a PYP school, like an IB school. Okay. So it's a lot of.
Okay, so for your clinical purposes, for the pullout, what I hear you saying is you want to focus on some literacy, which is reading and writing, vocabulary acquisition, maybe some grammar. So what I asked you to do is think about what standards that you would want to base your work on.
So using Common Core, you mean?
So whether you want to use Common Core, whether you want to use, IB has content standards. I'm very familiar with Common Core. I have some familiarness with the IB. So I would say, I would just want you to decide what content standards you want to focus on, whether it's Common Core.
I think I would use Common Core because our school, I have understand that they may be moving to the Western Australian standards, but right now they're not aligning with anything directly.
Okay, that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. So I'm gonna put my foot down, if you don't mind, because I really want to help you. Is that let's focus on Common Core. So
yeah, I agree because right now I've looked at Common Core and I've used those a little bit more so, but it's really messy right now.
Okay.
It's a challenge for sure.
It's weird, but yes. I'm very passionate about what I do. So you can reach out whenever, you know, we have a 13 hour time difference. But if you have questions in between the week, feel free to shoot me questions. I have no problem with that. It's just be mindful of the time difference.
For sure.
Other than that, I'm pretty flexible and I'm open to feedback. And I love to help and give resources. So just know that as you, that's why I ask you detailed questions, because that's the librarian in me. I'm like writing down like, okay. So I'll try to give you as many resources that you can then put into your toolkit and maybe add to your repertoire. And I will also say, if you map out and kind of plan ahead of time, that we could incorporate some of your lesson planning into our check-ins. So if you have a standard coming up, let's say you have standard 5 and 6, but maybe a week or so before, we can brainstorm about the lesson plan and maybe think about standards and instructional strategies, and then I can be a thought partner for your planning, and then you implement the lesson plan in the video, and then I can, I would also give you feedback that way. So it's some people prefer to do it that way. Some people want to plan by themselves and get feedback from me after the process. I'm open either way. I just want you to know that that is a way that you can do it too.
Great. Well, great. Thank you. I really appreciate this. I will need your input for sure. Okay. But yeah, other than that, I do not have any questions so far, but I really appreciate your time, and I will send you my Gmail Teach Now email address.
Yes.
And we can go from there.
Awesome. And I will see you next Sunday at 8:30 a.m.
Okay. That sounds great. Okay.
Have a great
day.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise. Bye.